Okay, time for the next stage. And this one will be largely review from the previous one, but it's a good way to get some practice. So, first thing we have to do is make a new part. And our new part will be templated from our template file. So insert part, and we need to pull in the sketches from that. Okay, we do not need to locate it. It is located at the right place. And we need to bring in tubes, and we will attach them to the sketch that we have here. So insert part, find our tube. We need the solid bodies from that tube. We do not need the sketches, but we do want the material. Check that locate part with move copy feature is checked. And then our front plane is our reference for the tube. Again, that's ended up on the wrong side of the front plane, so flip it around. Enter key will hit add for you. This edge of the tube here goes to, oh, wrong piece, this one here. This line, that looks good, that's moved it to the right place. And this bottom line here, this base line, goes to the bottom of the tube. Alright, good. And it's between the two riser tubes. That's important. The bearing block has to attach to the riser tubes. Good. Enter key again to get out of that. Come over to this face, click on the face, extruded cut, convert entities, exit sketch. Cut extrude will come up. Choose up to vertex. What vertex, you ask? Well, the one that defines the length of the tube. Good. Next step, we want to put in the riser tubes. So insert part, this part, solid bodies. Make sure that move copy is checked. Check. We'll grab the front plane as our first face. We'll grab this as the front plane. Flip. It's good. Hit add. We'll grab this vertical here. Mate that line to this edge of the tube. That looks good. And then mate this edge of the tube here to our horizontal baseline. Looks good. Forms a solid corner. Enter for add. Enter again with no mate for finish. Come up to the top of the tube. Extruded cut. Convert entities. Should be second nature by this point, I hope. Exit sketch. Choose our vertex to cut to. Remember, the riser goes all the way to the top. Looks good. And our top tube will be between the risers. Insert part. Tube. Solid bodies. We'll go front plane to our tube, flip alignment. It's kind of a pain to have to do that every time. Enter. Let's go this edge here, or that line to this edge. Looks good. This edge to this line. Hello, SolidWorks. There you go. And finally, we're done locating. Extruded cut. Oh, let me select the face first. If you don't select the face first, you have to select it the second time. Extruded cut, convert entities, exit sketch. Down to this vertex. Good. Last one, insert part, tube, we'll get our face there to the front plane, flip the alignment, hit enter, this bottom edge to this line here, looks good, and this line here on our sketch to this edge here. And finally, oh, this is a complicated one. So we have to cut extrude, but if we don't do it carefully, it'll notch out this part of the tube as well. So I'll show you what happens. Come in here, select the face, extruded cut, convert entities, exit sketch, and then I'll pick the vertex. And when I hit check, you'll see that we lost our corner. The reason why is that this tube was already there, it was already giving us our corner, and we trimmed it away as well. So right-click on the cut extrude, edit. You see the feature scope down here. This is a multi-body part, multiple bodies in the same part. It's cutting both of these tubes, and we can tell it, oh, we'll just cut the one tube, Let's clear everything out of here. Just this tube, please. Don't modify this one. So that's the only one in the list. That's the only one it's going to edit. There we go. It's the phantom cut extrude. It passes through this tube without harming it. All right. So let's go ahead and save this part. It's not the stationary tubes, it is the it is the upper tubes. All right, got upper tubes. Let's go back to the Thrifty Bot elevator assembly. There's the elevator assembly. We'll go ahead and do an insert components, place the upper tubes. Consider hiding some of the sketches so that we don't have a dozen of them in here. Okay, those are already hidden. This one is not. Let's hide that. So let's go front plane. Let's mate the front plane of our assembly to the front plane How is upper tubes already in assembly? It's not. That was interesting. SolidWorks showed this as the wrong thing. But we'll do the front plane, control-click front plane, do a quick mate. We will do the top plane is parallel to the top plane. Yeah, look at that. It's showing as an assembly even though it's not. And we'll do the right plane of our assembly to this vertex in the sketch, just to line everything up. And that should mean that this moves now. I have to grab a face. Yes, this moves. And it moves with respect to everything else. Good. So we can attach some parts to it. Let's go ahead and hide our structure sketch. We don't need that right now. We do need our rigging sketch. So the rigging sketch is going to have 4 of these bearing blocks in it, or pulley blocks. So insert components. Let's find our block subassembly. Let's put that in. We will mate these 2 faces. We can mate stuff to it at this point, but we have to be careful what pieces we choose. So mating the face is fine, but when we mate this hole, we have to make sure that it gets mated to the point, not the hole in the tube beneath. And you'll see it actually looks a little funny. Something didn't work with that. It's because the mate chosen, the mate type chosen, came up automatically as coincident, but we really want concentric. So that puts the point at the center of the bore. And finally, we can do the last one here, this one as concentric with that. So that works well. All right, and now that block subassembly, we can do a copy with mates. So that'll let us put some more in, mate them immediately. So that's fine. We'll choose this as the new mate reference. That's still the same plane. Choose one vertex, other vertex, good to go. Choose this top tube as the reference instead. Yeah, it put it in. It's just down there out of view. Choose this point as our center, this point as our other center. Good to go. And then this face, this point, good to go. Remember, you have to click the check and then X at the end. The check is what places it finally after you've selected all of the mates to put in. Okay, almost there. Remember, last thing to do is we have these parts that really belong in a subassembly. We want to move them to that subassembly. So go ahead, right-click, say Form New Subassembly out of these pieces, and it makes a subassembly within the outer assembly. So this Assemb19 of the Thrifty elevator assembly. This is not a file yet. This is just a virtual part inside of this larger assembly. So we want to open it so we can save it as a file and make sure that it's right. Remember from the last one, this will move. So I move it, I undo, just showing that it moves. Right-click on this tube part here and say Fix. That'll just make it so it doesn't move in the assembly. Just want something in there that keeps it from moving. It's fully defined. That's good. And then we can do Save As. It's going to say it's being referenced by other open documents as a virtual component. Save As will replace these references with the new name and convert them to normal components. So that's what's going to happen. We're going to convert it to a normal file, normal assembly file, and the Save As will replace this in the assembly where we just created it. Hit OK. It's not the lower stage assembly, it is the upper stage assembly. Yes, must save the components. All right. Components, models in the assembly have changed. Yes, I want to rebuild. Might as well save this as well. It's going to say, yeah, a bunch of stuff needs to be saved. And there we go. We have made the second one of these frames. Elevator is starting to take shape finally.